It is impossible to live in East Rochester and not know this face. 700 photos of Kali Poulton are now in circulation. Police looking for the 4-year-old are stopping every commuter and knocking on every door.
I'm doing the best I can. I just want them to find my daughter. I'm really overwhelmed with the amount of support that I've seen here tonight.
The town of Rochester, New York is known for its family-friendly suburbs and safe neighborhoods. But in May 1994, this peaceful community was shaken by the disappearance of a bright 4-year-old girl named Kali Ann Poulton. What started as a normal spring evening turned into every parent's worst nightmare when little Kali vanished without a trace while playing outside her home. After 2 years of desperate searching by the police, the truth finally came out, but it was far worse than anyone had imagined. Welcome to Tried and True Crime, where we cover shocking cases from around the world. Today, we're looking at the heartbreaking disappearance and murder of 4-year-old Kali Ann Poulton. Rochester is a large city in New York State with a population of over 200,000 people. It's a major metropolitan area known for its rich culture, world-class universities, and beautiful parks and trails. The suburban town of Greece, where the Poulton family lived, is considered one of the safest places to raise children in the greater Rochester area. Gleason Estates was a quiet apartment complex tucked away among tall oak and maple trees, the last place you'd expect a child to be snatched from their own front yard. Kali Ann Poulton was born on September 20th, 1989, to her devoted parents, Judy Gifford Tosh and David Poulton. She was the only child, adored by her mother, who described Kali as the apple of her eye. With her long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, infectious laugh, and adorable dimples, Kali radiated joy and innocence. By all accounts, she was a delightfully happy, friendly little girl who loved playing outside, coloring, and spending time with her mom. Judy was a hard-working single mother who took a second job delivering advertisements to save up for a dream trip to Disney World with Kali the following summer. On the evening of May 23, 1994, Kali begged her mom to let her ride her pink and white big-wheel tricycle in front of their apartment while Judy stuffed inserts into magazines for her delivery job. After some pleading with her daughter, Judy finally agreed, but strictly instructed Kali to remain right in front of the apartment door where she could keep a watchful eye on her. As Kali happily pedaled back and forth on the sidewalk, Judy worked quickly to finish her task so she could soon head out for deliveries. Afterwards, Judy had promised to take Kali to the McDonald's playground as a treat for being a good girl, but in a matter of minutes, that innocent childhood joy turned into sheer terror. When Judy finished her work and stepped outside to call Kali in, her baby girl had vanished into thin air without a trace. Where could she have gone so quickly? Panic gripped Judy's heart as a parent's worst nightmare became reality. The frantic single mother began screaming Kali's name, racing around the complex grounds, desperately searching. Neighbors quickly noticed Judy's distress and joined in the hunt, but there was no sign of the missing 4-year-old anywhere. About 20 minutes into the search, Judy spotted a neighbor she had recently met, 25-year-old Mark Christie, walking with his young toddler son towards the complex's playground area. Hoping against hope this new neighbor may have seen something, Judy approached Christie breathlessly asking if he'd seen Kali. But Christie simply said no and kept casually strolling along as if nothing was wrong, his sneakers untied and expression eerily blank. Despite Judy's shrieks of desperation echoing all around, Christie showed no alarm or urgency whatsoever about a missing child in grave danger. It seemed impossibly cold and unnatural. The reality that her baby girl had potentially been abducted hit Judy with full force in that moment. She immediately called 911 to report her 4-year-old daughter missing. Within minutes, firefighters, police, and search dogs swarmed the complex looking everywhere for the missing child. But the warm spring twilight faded into darkness with no sign of little Kali Ann Poulton. The next day, detectives from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office arrived at the Poulton home to interview a distraught Judy, who was the last person to see Kali alive. Major Crimes Unit investigators Thomas Passmore, Patrick Craw, and their supervisor, Gary Kiola, arrived on scene to spearhead the high-stakes case. With no signs of abduction or credible leads, the focus began shifting to Judy as a potential suspect, adding immense pain to her already unbearable grief. But Judy's mother's intuition told her that their strange neighbor Mark Christie was somehow involved. She revealed to investigators how Christie had made disturbing comments about Kali's beauty and questioned if she would tell Judy if someone touched her inappropriately. They quickly tracked down Christie for intensive interrogation, grilling him alongside investigator Bill Connell for hours upon hours. But Christie denied any involvement in Kali's disappearance. So, for the time being, Christie walked free as the investigation continued pursuing other potential leads and witnesses. Despite maintaining his innocence for over 2 years, investigators Thomas Passmore and Patrick Craw had a gut feeling Christie was lying. They kept casual contact with him, repeatedly offering him a chance to reunite Kali with her family if he finally came clean. And after years, their determination paid off in a shocking way. By August 1996, over 2 agonizing years had passed since 4-year-old Kali vanished without a trace. But the case took a dark turn when Mark Christie and his wife had an argument that led to a shocking development no one could have predicted. In a desperate ploy to hopefully regain sympathy and keep his wife from leaving him due to his strange behavior, Christie suddenly confessed to killing Kali. Horrified by his gut-wrenching confession, Christie's wife wasted no time. She took the couple's young son and fled from their home to the safety of her father's house. There, she contacted police to report what her husband had shockingly revealed. While her testimony was considered privileged information between spouses and would be inadmissible in court alone, this game-changing call gave investigators Passmore and Craw the break they had been waiting for. The lead detectives knew this was their best and quite likely only chance to confront Christie directly and get more specifics out of him before he obtained legal counsel. Investigator Craw requested to go on this mission alone, hoping his one-on-one approach would put Christie more at ease. When he arrived at the couple's residence, Christie's furious mother answered the door, shouting that her son needed a lawyer immediately and that they were not participating in Craw's interrogation. But to her outrage, the investigator managed to convince Christie to defy her orders and go with him for a casual conversation over coffee, under the condition that Craw would then take Christie to meet his attorney afterwards. Remarkably, Christie agreed, and soon the two found themselves having a frank discussion over lunch at an Italian restaurant in Rochester. Appealing to Christie's ego, Craw commended him for having successfully beaten the police and evaded detection for over 2 years in such an ingenious way. And before long, Christie began revealing stunning details about how he had managed to hide Kali's big wheel from police searches by cutting it into tiny pieces and stashing them in duffel bags, along with clothing items in his apartment. As their meals arrived, the conversation only grew more chilling. Sipping drinks between bites, Christie admitted he had been haunted by missing child posters featuring Kali's smiling face throughout the past 2 years. Eventually, after Craw refilled his coffee, Christie dropped the bombshell truth. He opened up and confessed to killing the 4-year-old after luring her inside his apartment under the pretense of playing with his son. He said he panicked when he heard Judy calling for Kaylee outside, admitting he strangled the child but making the nauseating claim he didn't do anything else to her. Christie hid Kaylee's lifeless body in his home overnight and later discarded her remains at Nortel Company, where he was a security guard. At his workplace, Mark climbed to the top of a 30,000-gallon tank filled with liquid coolant and dropped the poor girl's body inside. Craw asked if he had cut Kaylee's stomach open to keep her from floating. Mark said he didn't, but he had tied a piece of heavy metal equipment to her body to weigh her down. Craw settled the bill. Mark left a $2 tip, and they both got back into the unmarked police car to drive to the station. At the police headquarters, Craw handed Mark the phone to call his attorney. That's right, Mark was arrested and charged with Kaylee's murder, receiving a sentence of 25 years to life in prison. Mark John Christie was a troubled young man from the village of Hilton, just outside Rochester. Considered a punk growing up, Christie had a criminal record, but nothing involving crimes against children. He met Judy and Kaylee at the apartment complex playground shortly after moving in and developed an unsettling fixation on the young girl. And on that fateful evening in May 1994, Christie lured Kaylee into his apartment and strangled the 4-year-old girl. Thanks to the determined investigators, physical evidence was not needed against Christie once his shocking confession was secured. He pled guilty to Kaylee's murder in 1997 and was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The courtroom was filled with visceral responses from Judy and David Poulton upon seeing the man who killed their beloved daughter. David felt waves of anger and had to hold back tears, resisting the urge to lash out at Christie. Thanks to Judy's gut instinct from the very start, this heartless predator was finally brought to justice. This tragic murder of Kali Ann Poulton highlights the terrifying reality that child predators often go undetected, living among us under the guise of normalcy. It also raises the question, how well do we really know our neighbors, coworkers, friends, and family members? Too often, we assume those close to us or within our social circles are inherently trustworthy simply because of normalcy. But Mark Christie showcased how good certain individuals can be at blending into everyday situations while harboring sinister criminal impulses. His calm demeanor and mundane daily routines with his wife and child created the almost perfect cover for an upstanding citizen. That is, until his true depravities came to light in the most horrific way imaginable. While nothing can ever fill the void of losing a child, Judy Gifford Tosh found some solace in having helped capture her daughter's murderer. With Christie behind bars, he would never hurt an innocent child again. Detectives Passmore and Craw have gone on to speak about the important role a mother's intuition played in finally cracking this tragic case. Their perseverance paid off, but they'll never forget the innocence that was stolen from defenseless 4-year-old Kali Poulton at the hands of a cunning predator. Kali now rests eternally in a beautiful cemetery plot in Monroe County, her grave adorned with wind chimes, colored stones, and other mementos honoring her short but vibrant life. What are your thoughts on this disturbing case that struck the heart of a quiet community? Please let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more shocking true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe out there.